Welcome everyone again to the Hemophilia Council of California's Advocacy and Public Policy webinar, Saying Hello to Telehealth. My name is Lynn Kinst. I'm the Executive Director of the Hemophilia Council, and I'm glad to have you join us today. I want to introduce Peter and Paula, who are part of the treatments team at the UC San Diego Hemophilia Thrombosis Treatment Center. And they are going to share a little bit today about from their experience of just how you can be best prepared for your telehealth visit in order to really maximize that experience and get the most out of your visit. So with that, Peter, I'm gonna let you take it away.
Thank you, Lynn. Hi, everyone. I'm Peter. Like Lynn said, I'm the Doctor of Physical Therapy here at UC San Diego. And today I'm joined with Paula, our nurse practitioner at the HTC as well. And like Lynn said, today we're going to be touching on kind of the best ways to prepare for a virtual visit and then how you can maximize your experience. So let's get started. Next slide. So preparation actually starts when you make the appointment. What I would suggest is talk to whomever is making your appointment for you and ask them if there are any questionnaires or forms that need to be filled out prior to the session. Many times these intake forms need to be filled out on the day of the appointment, but it's always good to ask just to make sure that way you're ahead of the game. If you've never used the app or program that's being used for that visit, I repeat, please become familiar with it. I repeat, please become familiar with the app that you're using. This is probably the #1 reason why visits are delayed or unsuccessful. Don't wait until minutes before your appointment to open the app for the first time. Leading up to the appointment, if you have any problems that you'd like to discuss that are visible on your take pictures and videos of them. We have all had times where we had an ailment on our body of some kind, and then conveniently, when we go to our doctor appointment, they miraculously go away. So, for example, like let's say you have a swollen ankle, but it's really not that swollen. It's hard to kind of assess the ankle if it's just a picture of that ankle. So what I would suggest also is compare it to your other ankle. Include that other ankle in your pictures. So let's say your left ankle is slightly swollen. Let's take a picture of both your left and your right together. So that way we're able to kind of see the differences between them. Lastly, if you're able to take time off work for the appointment, please do so. We have had patients in the past where they have their appointment during their lunch break at work, and which puts everyone in a time crunch and things can be rushed. So we want to provide optimal care for you. And when there's a strict time constraint, people may forget small details, and that may be very important in the decisions that we make as providers. So please give us and yourself ample time to discuss your care so that way we can make the best decisions possible. Next slide. Okay, let's talk about the environment you conduct your visit in. Now, there are things that we can and cannot control. We've all seen recent videos of news anchors where they're in the middle of their newscast and then their dog runs in or their kid comes and sits on their lap, which is fine, but that stuff will always happen. But to improve our environment, let's take control of the things we can control. And that's gonna make the appointment that much better. So like, you got to know what kind of device you're going to need to use for the visit. Some programs and apps like MyChart from Epic will only let you use a phone to conduct the visit. But if you're using Zoom, you can use any one of these three options on the slide. In my opinion, a laptop is probably the best way to go, just because it has a stable camera angle that is adjustable, and then you're able to move it and transport it. A desktop with a fixed camera can sometimes be challenging, especially if you're trying to show, like, let's say your ankle is swollen and you're trying to show the doctor or the physical therapist your ankle. So trying to bring your ankle up to the cameras can be tough. If you're using a phone or tablet, using a tripod or gooseneck phone holder, like the pictures here, are great, and they provide a stable video, hands-free, but they also give you the ability to move them for when you need to show the providers that bruise on your foot, for example. Another option would be to ask another person with you to hold the camera. This can be very helpful, especially during a physical therapy visit, for example. Let's say I ask you to walk down the hallway so I can look at your gait, and rather than having to finagle the camera so that way you can see down the hallway, you can just have someone else do it, all the work for you. Also, make sure that you're in a quiet area. Please, please, please do not drive and have the appointment at the same time. This seems like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised. And even sitting in a parked car is not ideal because, again, there might be a situation where I might ask you to do something, or the doctors might ask you to show something. Next, wear clothes that are easy to move. So like if you're having some knee problems and you want us to look at your knee, wear some shorts or sweats that can easily be pulled up, so that way we can examine the knee. And make sure you're in a well-lit area and have good Wi-Fi or data connection. These virtual visits can sometimes take really, really long if you're constantly being asked to repeat yourself because of a bad connection. Next slide, thank you. On the day of the visit, treat it like you're going in for an in-person appointment. For most doctor's appointments, they'll ask you to show up 30 minutes before so you can fill out intake forms, and that might be the case here as well. Please, please, please do not log on 5 minutes before your appointment time. As stated earlier, you probably need to fill out some intake forms, but also logging on early will give you the time to make sure that the app is working properly. Make sure that your devices have a full charge. Prepare your environment, as stated earlier. Prepare your notes, materials, and pictures to discuss. And lastly, be as detailed as possible when you're describing your problems or when your doctor or PT asks you questions. This is really important because since we're not doing a physical visit, we as providers we don't have the luxury of conducting optimal physical exam. And because of this, we have to rely more on a very, very thorough verbal assessment and ask a lot of questions. So that way we have a thorough understanding of kind of what's going on with you. Next slide. And lastly, let's talk specifically about PT virtual visits. Much of this we went over already in preparing a good environment, but what I would also add is that you need to be prepared to move. For example, let's say, it hurts to go up and down the stairs. I'm probably going to ask you to change the angle of the camera and have you walk up and down the stairs. If it hurts to stand up from a chair, I'm going to ask you to back up so that way I can see you stand up and down from a chair. If it hurts to walk, I'm going to ask you to walk down the hallway so I can watch your gait. So you got to have that flexibility. That's where those gooseneck and tripod holders come really handy, but also a second person that can manage the camera when you're doing these movements.
Wonderful. Thank you both. I also briefly wanted to thank our webinar series sponsors, Takeda, BioMarin, HF Healthcare, and Sanofi Genzyme, who made this program possible. And so with that, I just want to thank all of you for joining us today. Again, if you have issues or concerns, we're happy to help you here at the Hemophilia Council. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if we can be of assistance. And thank you again to Peter and Paula. I know you guys have a very busy clinic schedule working with patients. So we appreciate your time putting this presentation together and joining us today.
Well, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you all for being here, and we will see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.